Welcome back again to another edition of Plane Talk. These are going to be a series of episodes. I'm going to try to keep them short on how to tune up an older plane. A friend of mine sent me these three planes and he asked me to tune them up. I said, sure, no problem. So what do you do first? Well, nothing. That's right. I said you do nothing. Why? Because you have to evaluate what you have. What is being presented to you? What needs adjusting? What needs tuning? What doesn't? So, we look at this first plane. And this was one that I had never seen before. That's right, I have never seen one of these before. There's a lot of planes I've never seen before, a lot of different oddball makers, some of them made by the same companies, just different names on them. Just like today, we see planes made with 3, 4, 5 different names on them coming in from overseas, and they're all made by the same company. So what's the first thing you do when you want to do a tune-up after you start your evaluation process? Well, you pop the hood. It's like buying a car. You pop the hood and you look underneath. Why do you do that? I don't know. Most of the time you're going to look at everything under the hood of a car and you're not going to know what you're looking at. But when it comes to planes, I have a little bit of an idea of what I'm looking at. So, first thing I want to check is make sure the lever cap is intact. No cracks, no chips, no dings. This front surface here is reasonably flat. Not that that matters a lot because it's putting pressure down on the chip breaker. All right, so you put a dab of oil in there, make sure that's working. That's all you do there. Next, you take the blade set out. And we've talked about how I prepare blade sets several times already. No need to go through it right now, but one of the things when you're tuning up a plane is you do need to check that your blade is straight and true, that this is a flat plane of surface, and that, of course, you have your front mating edge of your chip breaker to your sharp iron. I've done episodes on how to sharpen before. We're not going to get into that a lot. I did have to tap these irons out a little bit to make them flat. Now, you want to check the body of the plane over. Check both cheeks. Check the sole. Down in here, you want to look and see if there's any cracks. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see because you'll see abrasive marks and they'll look like cracks. Like right now I'm looking here. I would guess that's a small crack. Don't know. Check to make sure your screws all function properly. Your lateral adjuster. This is the older style. This is an old plane. That's the older style lateral. And this is a Pruton DHP. One of the main problems that I see with this plane is its adjustment knob. First off, it's small. Secondly, it wobbles a lot. It's worn. And that leads us to the next problem. And that is, this blade set is a Stanley Sweetheart. While it will sit in here, the advance mechanism will not work. Okay. So the only way to get this plane to work right now is to manually pull the blade up, lock it, and then make advances by tapping the blade down slightly until it begins to cut. Okay, I can get a cut However, because I can't advance the chip breaker far enough, I can't control tear out like I would like to. But if this is all I had, I could tinker with this and get it to work on each project. But that means I have to tinker with it each project. So at this point, I'm at an impasse with this plane. So this plane, I probably can't tune up because of missing blade set, and the advancement mechanism is not working properly. So sometimes you have to establish what you can fix and what you can't fix. I could more than likely take this plane completely apart, make a replacement tote because this one is cracked, and then make a matching knob because this looks like this was ash or possibly chestnut. And then drive the pin out of the yoke carefully, drive that out, remove the yoke, remove the knob, remove the screw, and find out why this is not working right. He asked me to tune them up, not restore them, so that one's on hold right now. So we're going to go through each one in each episode, but basically it's the same process on every one. This one you can see he's got a little bit of rust. Everything's working properly. I've already tuned up the blade set. Already tuned this up. That could come down a little closer. Remember what I said in the past. The distance of your chip breaker to the edge, to the cutting edge, is a function of the thickness of the shaving. And if it's not, if it is tearing out, you need to advance it forward a little bit. If it's bunching up, you need to back it up a little bit. It's not one of these things that there is an exact set amount. There was a video one time on setting chip breakers, but believe it or not, that wasn't for hand planes. That was for industrial machines with a fixed blade and chip breaker. And they could set those within 1,000th or 2. We don't have that luxury all the time. Sometimes we have to just do it by eye, try it, see how it works, okay? So these planes are, this is a Type 13 Stanley number 5 jack plane. A jack plane is by nature a jack of all trades plane, and you can smooth with it, you can do minor jointing with it, you can do surface preparation with it, and so on and so forth. Upon inspection of this one, it has a very thick coat of patina, which is more than likely a combination of rust, dirt, grime, wax, oil, but I look over it looking for telltale signs of any sort of cracks. There is a ding there, there's a chip there. On the other side, there might be a stress crack forming there, or that could be just a scratch. There's a couple of them here. So it could be in just the finish. But mind you, he said tune them up, not restore them. He wants to keep the patina. Now what I've already done, after I sharpen the blade set and I make sure that my lateral adjuster is working fine, and I make sure my advancement is working fine, and this one needs a new replacement knob, it's broken. I then put it all back together and start making shavings. And it was cutting fine, which gives me an indicator that it had been well cared for and well used. So the next step in a tune-up, because it's already working, the next step is to go see how flat your sole is. And this one is reasonably flat. And when I say reasonably, for a jack plane, really, you shouldn't do anything else. This is it, done. But I put it on the lapping surface with some 150 grit, and I wanted to see where it's hitting. So it is hitting a little bit out there, very slightly. It's hitting here, here, here. It's hitting completely here, all the way back to about here. A little something here and here and on the back. In the world of woodworking, that's all you need. However, I will tune that up a little bit more. I will flatten that sole a little bit more. I don't know if I'll go all the way. It all depends how much work it takes. Then the number 6, we went through the same process. Inspect the plane over. Look for cracks. Look for chips. Look for dings. This is a good knob. This is a perfect tote. Blade set needed to be flattened in a lot of ways. But it's working perfectly. Did the same thing. Took it to the flat datum surface with some 150 grit abrasive. Wanted to see where the sole is hitting. And it seems like it's hitting more here on the one side, and it's a little hollow here. A little tiny bit hit there, a little tiny bit there. But there again, it's hitting pretty good across here. There is a hollow here, and it's hitting again on the tail. So a number 6 plane is basically a larger version of the jack plane. It's meant to do rough work. I will tune that up some more. Now, the other area that a plane can be tuned up is the frog surface. This flat surface, here, 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 okay? And it's kind of annoying because the lateral and the yoke get in the way, but you can do it. We're going to take basically this whole plane apart. And then what we'll do is wash it. And I wash all my planes with soap and warm water. Just laundry soap. You know, the white powder that you put in the laundry with your clothes. That's it. A half a scoop in a 5-gallon pail, half filled with water. I put the parts in there, let them sit 15-20 minutes, nylon scrub brush, get rid of all the loose grime and grease and dirt, blow dry them off after a rinse, and then I start putting on some sort of protective oil. I'm tinkering with this product. It's since 1904, but I've never used it before. It's an interesting product. It's sort of like a oil-wax combination, but also 3-in-1 oil. You get some sort of penetrating oil, whatever you have. But as far as soaking, I no longer will soak any steel or iron part in vinegar or citric acid. And I'm not into the electrolysis tanks and setups because, well, number one, I don't have a battery charger, and number two, I just don't want that whole mess. So I will probably soak these, clean these, use some sort of penetrating oil, maybe some of the ballast oil, and maybe some fine steel wool, just to make sure I get loose rust and grime off. That's it. Then a little oil wax combination, clean it all up, polish it up, put it all back together. We have to find a replacement knob. That's not a big deal. But like I was saying, and I'll take it out right now while you're here. That's another thing. When you're taking planes apart, make sure you have an appropriate screwdriver. Too small of a head and you can make your screw heads or stems wonky. Okay, so they've got a bit of corrosion and rust on them. I might even take some liquid rust remover. I actually have some gel I might put on those just to stop any further rust. But basically, you take all these fasteners off, and some people will get a good flat, straight file and just lightly rub it. I'm not putting much pressure on it at all, but just give it a light rub. See, I'm hitting here, and I'm hitting up there. I'm not looking to take a whole bunch off. See, I'm hitting there. Then you go across it a little bit. And you go across it a little bit. Okay? Just so you know that you don't have any high spots. Any chips or burrs that are sticking up. Okay? I'm just lightly. That's it. And after the soak and the cleaning, I might do this again. But the reason why you want this flat, now you can do this on sandpaper too, on a flat surface, but that's really all you need to do. The reason for that being important is that when your blade set is on the frog, this might be a good way to see it. When your blade set is on the frog, for the most part, it's going to be getting more pressure down here from the lever cap. You know, I never thought about doing it this way, to show people. Your lever cap puts pressure on the bulge just before the top of the bulge of your chip breaker. You want as close to 100% mating surface between the blade, the back of the blade, well actually the bevel side of the blade, to the surface of the frog. Okay? Now, I can see there's a little bit of a hollow there, but the key places are down here and back here. As long as you've got 3 or 4 good points of contact, and of course the front being the most important, you're set. You're done. Okay? Because you can laterally move it, and you can advance it, and you keep that waxed or oiled, and that'll be perfectly fine. So you don't have to go crazy. I've seen people, oh goodness, I've seen people go to granite plates, actually take the lateral off, take the yoke out, and go to a granite plate and make this within a 1/1000. And then you have to understand, if you do a 1/1000 there, then you have to do a 1/1000 here. The whole beauty of the Stanley Bailey, well, the Bailey patent, the beauty of the Bailey patent is that I mean, first off, it's brilliant. It is the sum of all the parts that makes it work. All right? In olden days, if you had a wooden plane, your wooden plane could literally be that thick from the tip to about out here. And that was held in with a wooden wedge. But by going to this thin steel, they could make Henry Ford style production parts. And for the most part, everything fit into each other. So that's about it at this point. I'm going to stop here. I have to take the rest of this plane apart and start the soaking process. And we're going to do one plane at a time. The number 4 is on hold right now. We'll do the 5, clean that up, put it all back together. We'll do the 6, clean that up, put it all back together, flatten the soles. Those 2 will be premium. Just have to find a knob. And that'll be the tune-up. If at some point he wants to restore them, well, then he can remove the paint and totally derust everything, and then prime and paint the body properly and go on from there. But it's, as you can see, there's no reason to go through the entire restoration if it's working this well. I mean, in fact, all the dirt and grease and grime coming off is not going to make it any better. So that's about all for today. If you've got any questions, give me a holler. Man, this butternut cut's just beautiful. But it'll work the same on any other wood. Curly maple, doesn't matter. And even like I said, not tuned up. It's peeling 1/1000th of an inch shavings all the way across. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 2. Plain tune-up. I guess you could call this a clinic. Welcome to the clinic. Walter out.